right, everybody, and welcome back to UWZ. We're back. It's been a couple of weeks, and, well, nothing like covering a shitty pay-per-view to do your return to, right? So,
Would you really go as far as saying shitty?
I'd say that it was, well, we'll get into it. This is Rick Del Santo, the professor, and joining me, as always, DVD Freak. How's everything been?
Oh, it's been an
It's
interesting
been,
few weeks. Just life in
yeah.
general, and I'm just trying to make videos and take my mind off of things, and here we are.
I haven't created any content really in a couple weeks, so I'm really looking forward to doing this tonight with you. So AEW Revolution. Maybe it was not the greatest pay-per-view. I know online I saw a couple of people say this was the worst. I don't know. What was the last one that we covered that we trashed, that we hated
Well,
so much?
all
I
out was
think that
horrible.
one might have been worse.
Yeah, I think
That's
all
it.
out.
Yep.
Yeah, all out.
Yeah.
2020
This
was
one I
worse.
thought started. I think this one started strong, and then as it went on, it just got worse and worse. And the main event, a lot of people said that they loved the work rate of the main event, and I just could not get into it. I think it's because of the stipulation going in. Um, I'm not a deathmatch person, so I think that going in, I had in my mindset, I'm not going to like this match because I don't like that kind of stuff. So, but we're going to discuss it. How would you rate the show overall?
Oh, we doing letter grade already?
Yeah, you know what? We don't do that to me. I haven't done this in a while. I'm freaking out here. I can't.
That's tough. What would you
So
give
the
it?
opening
I
match.
haven't thought about this yet. Usually we have an hour.
Yeah,
What would you give it?
yeah. I'd say it was about a C, to be honest with you. But like I said, the first couple matches were pretty interesting. I'm a battle royal fan. I think that usually they're filler, but it was still entertaining enough to me. The battle royal. Thought it was once the Hardy Adam Page thing. Like, I'm not into that storyline by any means. So once that match happened, it was kind of all downhill from there for me.
I was gonna go either a C or a C minus. C minus. Yeah, and that doesn't mean it's awful. It's just a below
No,
average show. I don't think it was as bad
right.
as All Out was. That was a disaster. Whereas this was just
Now,
kind of middle of the road quality.
all right. Now, where my thing is, where was FTR? I thought that they were going to be on there, and apparently not. To me, that's the top tag team in the on the roster, but they're just nowhere to be found really. And I was quite upset about that because I thought they were booked for it, but it just, you know,
Well, were they
I
advertised?
I thought so, but maybe I was
No.
just mixing it up with the other thing. Anyways, opening match was the tag titles was the opening match. The Young Bucks defending against Chris Jericho and MJF. Sorry, couldn't think of who it was. But I really thought that this was a great match. I thought this was a good opener. It was a lot of fun. Of course, the Young Bucks had to get all their spots in, and there's a ton of near falls. But I thought this was pretty fun. I'm not a huge Young Bucks guy, but this match kept my interest for the most part.
Yeah, I actually think this was ironically because I don't like the Young Cucks. Um, ironically, this was my favorite match of the night, and the one I was
Yeah,
kind of the most into. There were a lot of botches. Like there was one point where they went for the Meltzer driver, and they just botched it. Chris Jericho had some bad footing near the end of the match. That it just looked like one of the Bucks. It just missed it on purpose. Whereas if Jericho would have stepped back a little bit, it would have looked like it was a reversal, where it was just kind of a cluster of a move. And yeah, like I said though, well, like you said, too many near falls. That's the problem with all of this. I think every match on this show like you had Adam Page kicking out of a twist of fate. Like that bothers me. I just don't like. It's fine if you want to kick out of a finisher once in a while, but like it felt like every match on this card, you got a finisher kick out.
That's professional wrestling today. That you have to
Yeah,
do like it's not. There's no finisher. You know, they use their finishers, but they got to do it several times in a row in order to get and that's what bothers me about professional wrestling in the modern age.
yeah.
You know, and it's just and it just makes things overdone in that manner, and it's just you know, there's too many near falls. It's not dramatic enough if everybody's got to hit their finisher more than once.
Yeah, I like
And
we've
there's
talked
not
about this. We've talked about this before. Like I miss the times where a random suplex could have been the end of the match or a power bomb.
right
You
a
never knew.
brainbuster or yeah yeah
It was one of those things where a random move could possibly end the match, but if a finisher got hit, it was over. There's no getting out of it. You know, even like with Hogan, his leg drop was insanely protected. I think one of the few times it was actually kicked out of in the WWF, at least, was a botch with Sid Justice or Psycho Sid, whatever he was going by at the time.
right.
So
One of the
it's
things I
just,
have. Go ahead.
like I was just gonna say, it's just an example of protecting your finishers.
One of the things I guess is like you realize that there is a tag team match. There's a lot of double teaming, obviously, throughout tag team matches. That's the way wrestling is, and it's just you realize how many times Excalibur said in stereo. There's a tope suicida in stereo. There's a super kick in stereo. Mind you, there was a half crab in stereo. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here with this. It's it got so annoying. On top of that, JR sounded really under the weather. I don't know if you noticed this or not. Like his voice was like really harsh, and I don't know what was up with it. I didn't think he was gonna last the night.
Well, there was one point where I think it was their first talking segment, their first face-to-face talking segment. He was struggling to get everything out. I remember we all kind of laughed because Shivani just started patting him on the back. I don't know if you noticed that or not while JR was talking.
No,
So I
no,
don't
I
know.
think
I
that
think
was
it got better throughout the night, but at the beginning it was rough.
yeah. I think that Shivani and Excalibur did the majority of the work. Going forward, it sounded like and I guess to protect Jr. It sounded like what I mean because that's what I noticed. Jr. is still in my eyes one of the greatest of all time. He's been around the
Mm-hmm.
business a long time, but a lot of people are giving him trouble because he botches things every now and again. But when you work for a company for like 25 years, you have a hard sometimes have a hard time channeling certain things. So, you got to lighten up on the guy a little bit.
Yeah, when I hear people criticize him, I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, it's fine if you want
Yeah.
to criticize, like, Todd Phillips or whoever, Byron Saxton, because they're just nimrods. But,
Yeah.
yeah. But Jim Ross, he's one of the greatest of all time. So
Absolutely.
just shove it up your ass, all right? Let the man speak. He deserves his moment.
Right. So as the Young Bucks retain the title here, like I said, this is the most exciting match. It was a great opener and probably the best match of the evening. Let's see, we went into actually the Battle Royal, the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. I don't have every team listed here, but this was pretty exciting though. When you had what was it, Phoenix and Jungle Boy in the ring towards the end. They were in the ring for a couple minutes against each other. That's a match I want to see on AEW television, Jungle Boy in Phoenix, because that couple minutes that they were in there against each other was phenomenal. And they're two. I mean, Phoenix is one of the best out there today. Jungle Boy has a great future ahead of him. He's young, but he's got a lot of potential to be a big star. And
yeah, hope be a world champion one day. Not anytime soon,
you think,
but
oh yeah, he's only been wrestling a couple years.
Yeah, like 5 years from now, put the title on.
Yeah.
But I do have the list here. I'll just kind of go off.
Okay.
I'll just go through some of the highlights. Natural Nightmares Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. That was kind of the bigger angle of this match.
Right. QT basically turning on Dustin.
And it's funny in the list here. It has the elimination himself. It just says himself.
He jumped over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to put over, I guess because he eliminated the other members of the Nightmare family, or trainees of the Nightmare family, and Dustin just wanted him to lighten up on him. So he was just like, yeah, fuck you. and he actually spat at him at one point and eliminated himself. So I think QT's great. I really like him a lot. So,
yeah, that'd be a good match. I don't know if that's what they're planning for Double or Nothing or something like that, but that'd be a good singles match. It has some story behind it. They're actually building pay-per-view to pay-per-view. So yeah, that I'm looking forward to that one. They have some heat. They have chemistry together, so I like it.
Yeah. And they've been, and the thing about AEW is, before you continue with the list, I'm sorry, AEW does, they do quarterly pay-per-view, so it's not like this could be a nice slow burn to the next pay-per-view. It doesn't have to be we're rushing into it so that they can get to it in April. You know what I mean? And so it could be a nice slow burn. They could do a lot of really good stuff on TV, a lot of teases for it on television.
And I might be in the minority here, but I actually like that they don't have a Starrcade or a WrestleMania type event, because they treat every pay-per-view pretty equally, I would say.
Well, that's the thing about doing the quarterly pay-per-views. When WWF did it, every pay-per-view was gigantic. Yeah. Every four, whether it be the Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, even though WrestleMania was definitely considered the flagship, but it's just everyone was treated very special, and that's when you got all the biggest stars on the show. Nowadays, for WrestleMania, they have to fit in every single person on the roster. When I went to the one in Jersey that year, they had, was it 2 Battle Royals? That's just on the pre-show. That's on the pre-show. Before all the main shows started. Like, it's just crazy. They have to fit every single person that is on the roster into the show. It's supposed to be, those big events are supposed to be for the biggest stars in the company. And that's what AEW, they don't have a gigantic roster. They definitely have a roster that they could definitely work at and put big shows on with.
Yeah, I think you should have to earn that WrestleMania spot.
Right.
And my WrestleMania, I had 2 Battle Royals. I had, the Triple Threat Tag Team title match, which is worthless. Like, you're just throwing so many people in there.
Yeah, because you have to fit everybody on the roster, yeah.
Yeah, so many just worthless nothing matches. And it's just like, what's there to work towards? Because, you can be a jobber on, 205 in the locker room just chilling for 10 weeks straight leading up to WrestleMania. They're like, oh, by the way, you're in the Battle Royal. Sweet. I didn't do anything to earn it. Cool. Payday. It's pointless.
Yeah, but then there's the other thing about that is there's a tag team title on Raw, there's a tag team title on SmackDown, and both of those matches, you'd figure the tag team title match would be a somewhat important match, right? They're on the pre-show. They're on the free pre-show. That I always found ridiculous. I mean, this is just the particular year that I went that I'm referring to. So that's supposed to be a very important match. All the main titles, now they have too many titles between the 3 different brands. And now NXT is supposed to be adding more titles, but we're getting away from the AEW.
Yeah, the thing about the tag team battle royal, it is interesting. It was a 1.5-minute intervals, so basically it was a tag team rumble without saying it.
Yeah, yep.
Which
the thing about that is,
go ahead.
With the sorry, they had the clock up in the background, so it was climbing down. It's like in the Royal Rumble, they'll start counting at 10, so then all the wrestlers know when somebody's coming in and all that stuff. This, I just felt like some of the people, like, so if something happened that gets eliminated, then they start automatically like, oh, we need to start counting now, And this match just so happened to be, the clock was over there on the big wall, so there's be a lot of spots where people are just waiting for other people to come out, it seemed like. because there was a lot of spots that were just empty after they did their big moves. But maybe I'm just reading too far into it.
My biggest problem with this, we had 15 tag entrants. This should have been 10. Like, this was way too long. There was a point where I just couldn't wait for the last entrant. Every time I'd see the clock show up, I'd be like, fuck. And I was waiting for FTR. I thought, like, I was like, all right, this should be the last one. And they weren't here. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot coming up in AEW that I want to discuss. Actually, before we hit the road today, before after we're done discussing Revolution, because they announced a bunch of stuff for this week's Dynamite as well.
Yeah.
So continue with the teams, because going on and on complaining about the opposite organization.
We had 3 entrants for the Dark Order. We had 1 representative for the Inner Circle, that being Santana and Ortiz. We had the Sydal brothers, which was interesting to see Mike Sydal.
I've never really seen him before until I watched this.
Yeah,
I didn't. So.
Yeah, and then we had the Gun Club, which is Billy Gunn's kids, who literally look exactly like him. Even the mannerisms, their footwork, it's Billy Gunn.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking that same thing. Was it Austin Gunn is the kid's name, I think? And he's just coming out. He looks just like him. He wears the same trunks that he wore back in the day, kind of a thing. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. And we had the Private Party, which, yeah. SoCal Uncensored for you TNA fans out there. And the Death Triangle, which is Pac and Ray Phoenix. I was rooting for Phoenix here, but I'm not upset about the finish we had.
One of the things that I hated, these spots that I hate is this match. It was just Pac and Phoenix in this match, correct? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm thinking about the ladder match. I'm sorry. But yeah, I thought this battle royal was. Oh wait, you forgot Beer Country, right? Did you list all the teams?
I didn't list them all. I just kind of went through the.
I know Beer Country was in there. This match was, I like battle royals, but it was, like you said, there were 15 teams. Ray Phoenix and Jungle
Boy. They were phenomenal. The last 2. Yeah. Yep. And maybe some foreshadowing here at what's to come.
I think I want to see those 2 this Wednesday night. Like, seriously. Like, I would love to see that. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what do we have next, pal?
The women's title match, Hikaru Shida and Ryu Mizunami. I've never seen her before, but
I like her.
You like her? All right, I'm going to be honest here. This is where the show started to go downhill for me.
Oh, it did go downhill, but I think these 2...
Right in this match.
They had chemistry, and they had a history, which they hyped up. I just felt like...
in Stardom, right?
Yeah.
Is that where they came from? Yeah.
And it's just like, they hyped it up so much in that video package, so I'm like, wow, this could be really good. Whereas I just felt like the chemistry was there. It just didn't quite register for this match. And it just dragged.
Yeah. I think there was too much goofing around on Mizunami's part. It seemed like she's trying for seemed like a comedy, I guess, in parts. Like she was pretending to pull the rope, kind of a thing, and do all these stupid little things. I was just like, this is just annoying. And I like Hikaru Shida. I think she's great. In other matches I've seen her in. One of the things I hated, she had Shida in the corner, and she's Excalibur again, a botch on his part. Oh, look at these massive chops. Oh, they're not so massive. He had to correct himself because she started laying it in, and then it just was minor taps. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why are you putting it over like she's fucking like her Andre hands or something? It just sounded so bad, dude. But I don't know. I was not necessarily a fan of this match, and like I said, this is approximately where the show started to go downhill for me.
Well, obviously we had a title retention here. Nothing much to say. It went 15 minutes. It felt like longer.
That's another thing. I
But
thought that it went a little long for a women's match for a pay-per-view that was not necessarily doing much for me as far as the match went.
speaking of going downhill, next up, my God, this was just rough. This was rough.
We totally all right. I've discussed this with Andy in the past. Probably just yesterday or so. They totally fucked up Miro bringing him in and putting him in with Skip Sabian, bringing him in as a comedy act. Like, this is just ridiculous. It's just awful. It's just, oh my God. Having them, like, they had Chuck Taylor, the Butler. I'm not the world's biggest Chuck Taylor fan. I'm not the world's biggest Orange Cassidy fan either. Yes. But, it's just, this was just, oh my God, this was just terrible. I couldn't, I'm having trouble taking Miro seriously in AEW. They brought him in as a monster where he came in and just ripped people apart. I'd seriously be taking him more seriously. But he's just stuck in comedy storyline as a goofball. And, me and you know exactly, we know how we both feel about comedy wrestling. It's just, we hate it. I hate it. It's not entertaining by any stretch. It's
embarrassing.
It's not professional wrestling. So
it's almost like a Rusev reboot. I shit you not.
Yeah.
Like, they bring him in, it's this huge big deal, he's over, and then here we are. Except they did it in a few months instead of WWE where they took a few years. And they gave him another, because he had the Rusev Day, and now they gave him another stupid the best man. Like, I feel like they're just trying to capitalize on the Rusev Day, so they're like, oh, maybe the best man will have the same success. Yeah, no.
Like, I get what you're saying. They're just giving them like a thing.
Yeah.
I guess.
Hoping it'll get over.
Right. It's just boring. It's not. His segments I pretty much cringe at every Wednesday night. And they're just ridiculous. I mean, I did laugh at the wedding segment. I'm pretty sure you didn't see it. You're normally working, but when Kip and what's the other girl's name? What's his wife's name? They'll get Lady, whatever her name is. When they were getting married and Orange Cassidy popped out of the cake. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. But it was nothing to be like excited for. I did laugh, but it's just anytime there's a cake in the middle of a wrestling ring, you know what's gonna happen. So it's gonna turn into a food fight. But it was just it was really ridiculous. It was really boring. So this match did absolutely nothing for me. Why they would put it on a pay-per-view is just another thing. This should have been on Dark or something because it's that bad. It was that bad.
It felt like that 9 o'clock, or it'd be, what time's Dynamite on? 8 or 9?
8.
Okay, it feels like that
Eastern time.
It sounds like the end of the first hour, like you're transitioning to the second hour. You have that
it's
just random tag match.
The bathroom break match.
You're midway.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just...
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's not important to watch.
And it's just like, they take out Orange Cassidy, he's in the back, and they're out there just beating the hell out of Chuck Taylor. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen next. This is the most unpredictable thing in the world. Orange Cassidy's in the back, injured. Of course he's going to come out, do his stupid little pocket shit. I hate Orange Cassidy. I just can't understand. I just don't understand how people enjoy it.
I'm going to tell you. I think we discussed this before, probably when we were doing All Out, that it took me a long time. It's not that I get it or that I'm a gigantic fan of Orange Cassidy, but I started to understand the charm a tiny bit because once you see him, and when he worked with Jericho, once you see him working in an actual match, the guy could actually work. Yeah. Once he's actually not doing, I mean, you know what I mean, when he's actually competing and stuff. And like I said, he was Fire Ant in Chikara, and who was a huge fan of the Colony. So it's like, once I found all that information, I was like, oh, this guy could actually wrestle. He's not some fucking hack goofball. It's just a gimmick I don't particularly care for. Even though a lot of people, it's over, a lot of people love it. And
That's
it explains the state of the wrestling fan in 2021.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you talk to anyone, one of the most important traits in a wrestler is being able to control a crowd, and he can. He may be able to control today's audience. If he did this in 1970, he would be murdered in the back behind the dumpster by all the fans. And that's kind of more what I want to do to him. But like I said, I get it, but I just don't agree with it. I don't care if people are cheering for it. Yeah, I just don't care.
Yeah, if he's putting asses in seats, if he's if a wrestling, yeah, exactly. More power to him. But I don't particularly get it. From there, that ladder match. My God.
Well, next we have Adam Page and Matt Hardy.
Oh wait, where are my notes here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. This was the big money match, and he gets his whoever wins doesn't get the first quarter earnings if he wins. Matt Hardy.
Yeah, which is kind of a funny stipulation. It's stupid. It's really stupid, but it's funny.
Right, and the big money Matt Hardy. I've never been a huge Hardy's fan or Matt Hardy fan. This is a little ridiculous. Like, but Matt Hardy has a thing, and the Hardy, he has a thing for reinventing himself several times, and it works and gets over. And that's the most important part, right? The fans buy into it. That's the most important part. So, no matter what some stupid podcaster from Connecticut or Pennsylvania says about you, as long as you're putting asses in seats, you're collecting a paycheck, your T-shirts are on the fans, the owner, the promoter is happy. So, but I think the big money Matt thing is just kind of goofy because it's not really what you think of when you think of the Hardy Boys or Matt Hardy.
That's the point, though.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're right.
Yeah, that's the point.
Right. Yeah, and I like. Did not want to see Adam Page and Matt Hardy. I love Adam Page. I think he's great, and the gimmick's cool. There's like the pretty boy, cowboy. And some people say that he's not necessarily convincing as like a cowboy because he's too much of a pretty boy. But I'm just like, he's still a great wrestler. He still put on a good match. I thought it was pretty good overall.
Yeah, Adam Page is in my top 5 AEW roster members for sure. He will be a world champion in the next 2 or 3 years, 100%, maybe even less than that. I don't think it should be less than that because you can see a slow build here. It's been building. Like
ever since the match with Jericho, I gotta say, like, honestly, I thought that they were gonna put the title on him then, because I thought that they were going to make Adam Page in that match, and they did that without putting the belt on him. Jericho did that without, he gave him the rub and said how serious Adam Page is as a professional wrestler and how great he actually is. And I hadn't really seen much of him because, like I said, I had not really been watching wrestling that much up until a couple years ago. I took a couple of years off. And so I came back, all these, there's a lot of new guys around, and he's one of them, but I really got into him the first time I seen him. And like you said, I think that he is top tier world championship caliber material, and I definitely see it coming in AEW too. I mean, he could be the one to take it off Omega for all we know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I think Omega's gonna hold it for a while, as he should. I believe in long title reigns.
Yes.
I think he'll be the one to beat him. I do.
Who
else is it gonna be? Honestly, who else is there?
I think it's really too early to tell. He's only held it a couple.
Unless it's
obviously he's not going to lose it. Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. It's obvious he's not going to lose it going back and forth to Impact. And not going to lose it over there. To Rich Swann, of course, not there. I have enjoyed the partnership, but I think that there's a very good chance because they were discussing when the Good Brothers and Omega were destroying Moxley last night. Oh, he's got a kid on the way. I think that Moxley, when he comes back after his kid is born, it's a very good chance that he'll come back and take the title. It could be, we could, I'm just like anything could happen at this point. Like,
Yeah.
so we don't even know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, so now we have the ladder match.
The ladder match. This is a great match, and Ethan Page debuts in this match, and I was so happy because I'm a huge. I love Ethan Page, and I liked him in Impact, teaming with Josh Alexander, and when he walked out with that big, silly grin on his face, I popped. So I think he's awesome, though. But this is a great match overall. Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky took the victory here.
Yeah, which Scorpio Sky deserves it. I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to Lance Archer, personally. But which I think that's kind of who I was rooting for. Maybe it's just because I'm a Jake Roberts mark, but
one of the things I think about Lance Archer, I think the guy's great. What they do in AEW, they don't take big guys necessarily seriously. He seems to get, I wouldn't say get his ass kicked, but he should go in and be walking in there demolishing a lot of these guys who are like half his size. But, he sells for him like crazy. And he just comes in, he just gets his ass kicked here and there. And he should have came in and killed, he should have clotheslined everybody, tore their heads off. And but this was a fun match overall. To get away from putting over or trying to explain Lance Archer. But
all right.
This was a lot of fun. And Pentagon, that's another guy that's out there, dude. This is just good. The talent in this match was amazing, and it just made for a wonderful ladder match. Now, I'm not a huge ladder match fan. Actually, stipulation matches are kind of corny. Like, we've discussed this before as well in the past.
Especially the giant fucking Sonic ring. Like, my God, it was a joke. It was a joke.
Yes, the brass ring bullshit. It looks so corny, hanging in the ear from the ceiling.
That thing was huge.
Yes, and AEW fans are just like these AEW fans are just eating it up. They're eating it up. They're loving it. I thought this was a good match, but that ring was stupid. Scorpio Sky, obviously deserves. The guy's been around forever, and to see him actually getting a push like this is awesome. What's the stipulation if you grab the brass ring? Was there a stipulation? I don't remember.
Yeah, you get for a future TNT championship match.
Oh, it's a bullshit title anyways, so who cares? But I'm tired. I'm kind of tired of seeing Cody Rhodes on TV.
But. Okay. All right. It's time. All right. So here's my
Did I light a fire?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this was coming. Did we really need the Cody Rhodes spots, the sympathy spot? Like, eventually, I'll tell you right now, he's over, which I get it. I get why. Dude, he's a great worker. He's one of their best.
Yes.
But I'm just so goddamn sick of every time he is in the ring, he has to steal the spotlight. He is in the ring with 5 other guys.
Yes.
And he, of course, has to do his stupid sympathy spot where they're like, "Oh no, let's take you to the little circle entranceway," and then we're all just chilling in there, like waiting.
And then he's got to make his comeback, or etc. etc.
Which I was like, "Oh, he better not win this now."
You know what the problem I have with Cody, and I've said this, he's got a lot of his father in him when it comes to booking himself.
Yeah.
He books himself as the underdog that becomes the star, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying?
It's just
he books himself to win. It's. I don't want to. Might come from arrogance. I don't know, or it. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say he's not good because Cody is definitely very good. And it's not that he doesn't deserve it. The guy bet on himself after leaving the largest wrestling company in the world. You know what I mean? And said he wants to do this. But it's just like sometimes it's just he just seems a little bit too in love with himself. He loves to put himself over. Yeah, thank you. He loves to put himself over. It's just I find it annoying on occasion, but he is a great worker. I'm not gonna deny that.
If you're gonna help run the company, you got to take a step back.
He's gonna get
Um,
a nice paycheck either way. Yes.
I always liked Vince Senior. He always said the promoter should never get involved.
Right.
And you can basically say he's a promoter at this point. So
At
it's
least probably
just,
the head booker, right? I mean, if that.
yeah,
I mean,
he's booking, promoting. Like he's like an executive vice president or whatever. They all are. Him and the Young Cucks and Olivier. But yeah, like you can either be a full-time worker or you can help run the company. I don't really think there should be an in between because there's bias there. Because he's sitting at home. He's like, oh, what can I put myself into next? He will
right.
always have a top spot. He doesn't have to earn it because he's the one booking himself.
And
Which
he's still relatively young. He's at an age where he's still got a lot of years left
yeah. So
that
how
he could
long do we have
compete.
to put up with this?
Right. Exactly.
Eventually, people are going to start hating him. I'm getting
Yeah.
there.
Well, I was
As
going to
much
say
as I love
the
his
whole.
work, he's great.
I think the whole thing with the elite and thing and stuff like that. That's where I started to get a little bored with him. You know what I mean? I wasn't a huge fan of his in WWF. I thought he was good,
Ugh,
but
that's not his fault.
yeah.
I did like.
I thought Stardust was funny. A lot of people, I think that's probably an underrated gimmick for him. A lot of people absolutely hated it. I thought it was comical and just it. I'm not saying by any stretch it's not like a fucking Flair gimmick. It's not great. You know what I mean? It was fucking it was entertaining. And then when they put the two of them together, Goldust and Stardust, they had some entertaining spots together. So that's
And
just my opinion.
what I
I'm definitely in the minority here with that. So
well, one reason I did like it is because he hated it so much that he became a smartass about it, and that's why it worked. Like
yeah,
he's like, if I'm gonna have to do this, I'm gonna be a dick and just do like the most over the top as possible. Like he didn't just phone it in. No, he went out there acting like an idiot, and it was
okay,
great. I
yeah,
actually really liked in 2011. I wasn't watching much in 2011, but I did tune in for around WrestleMania season, like I usually do.
right.
Um, his match with Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 27, leading up to that, he had that mask gimmick where,
After is known dashing Cody Rhodes,
yeah,
right?
where you
Was
could
that,
clearly
yeah,
see he was fine, but he was just being a
yeah.
drama queen about it. I love that. His theme music
I
was
thought it
good.
was interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
thought that
loved
was
it.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see where this goes. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to judge the guy too much. I already just did, but so yeah. Now,
We got to talk about the mystery signing next.
was that after that? After
I
that
believe
match?
so. Yeah, I believe so.
All right.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Mystery signing. Trying to find my glasses. Just hang on. Excuse me. Okay. The mystery signing. A lot of hype around the mystery signing for God, what, a week or so.
Who did you think it
And
was? Well, before we get into the
honestly, I didn't.
reveal.
I couldn't tell. I could not think of who it possibly was because I'm just like, you know, um, was it the day before Angle put out a video? Everybody's like, "Oh, it's a teaser for that." Then I think what was it Bully Ray put out something that could have
Oh,
been
did he?
taken as a teaser. Yeah, something. So I was just like, I was like, Bully Ray would be fucking corny as hell. Like,
Yeah.
no offense to Bully. I think he is what he is. But
Well,
I'm just like, that's not a really great. That's not like a. And then some people were saying Christian. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. It was like he just showed up at the Rumble. I didn't realize that he wasn't under contract. But I really didn't have a clue. Honestly, people were like, it's CM Punk, it's Brock. I'm like, it's neither of those. It's neither of those.
no.
Trust me. Because
No.
if it was Brock, if they offered money to Brock would
Vince
have
would
told
Vince
Vince
would
would have
double
gone.
it.
I mean, yeah, Brock would have gone to Vince and be like, listen, they're offering me this. What are you gonna give me to stay? And Vince would have given it to him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I definitely didn't think it was CM Punk. Um, definitely didn't think it was Kurt Angle. Kurt's not ready. Towards the last his last WWE run. God, I love Kurt Angle, but he wasn't looking that great. He was in there and doing some fine stuff. He was fun, but it was fun to see him return home. But he wasn't putting on those 5-star classics like he was with Eddie or Benoit, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I definitely couldn't see that happening. I really had no clue, but I'm going to tell you this. When I saw it was Christian Cage, I wanted to shut my fucking TV off. I really did. And it's nothing against Christian. I don't think that delivered the hype that they built for over a week. I'm sorry. I just don't think it was that spectacular of a signing.
Okay.
He's done this before. He went to TNA for how many years? Okay,
Yeah.
and won the NWA World Title. So it's not, that's nothing too spectacular. And how long has he been retired for? That's what I want to ask. A couple years.
2015.
So that's not that long, right?
Yeah. I think because he was advertised to face Big E for the IC title on Raw, and he wasn't able to make that match due to his concussion syndrome.
Gotcha.
That's now a disease.
And that's why he retired. Oh, yeah, really? That's what they're calling it in 2021.
That's what it is now. Yep. Concussion syndrome. It got Benoit.
I could actually see him. Okay. So what's your opinion overall on the signing? Did you think, and honestly, who did you think it could have been if...
I was saying Christian, but I was like, but that wouldn't deliver on the hype. So I second-guessed myself. So I was like, it's probably Kurt Angle then. It was one of those two, for sure, right. Near the end. Like, the past few days, like a week ago, I had no clue. Because there was conflicting reports about whether Christian was signed or not. So there was a point where I'm like, oh, it's Christian. But then I read that he was signed. So I'm like, oh, it's not him then.
Well, did you see there was an article that came out as well? What's in Christian's current WWE contract? I'm like, and then he shows up on AEW. I'm like, well, that's fucking weird.
Well,
you know what I mean?
From what I've read so far, he was in talks and the talks fell through. I don't know if it was money or just plans. You know me. I'm a Christian Cage fan. Fuck yeah, I love Christian.
I always enjoyed.
Yeah, I will take him over Edge any day. I will.
I always thought Christian was better. Terribly underrated. Edge, I guess, had that superstar in him that made him the breakout star of the tag team. I wouldn't have minded. I liked seeing them reunite in the Royal Rumble, though. I thought that was fun. When they hugged it out, and it was. I'm gonna tell you, I popped when he came out. I mean, I didn't pop like when I'm not a huge Edge fan, but when he came out from the Rumble last year, I popped huge. I thought it was like, because of the stipulation and the situation. I thought it was a phenomenal return. It was fun. I didn't think that there was really no great surprise with this fucking Royal Rumble. Obviously, the situation, the pandemic, and all that other shit. But Christian Cage, I'm just curious as to what AEW is going to do with him. He could be like, there's been a lot of talk, like he can be really good in the locker room with those younger talents.
Here's my problem. I'm conflicted because I know Vince never liked Christian. He wanted to put a blue dot over his face, for Christ's sake. Like, that's what he wanted to do.
What?
You never heard that story?
No. What is this?
During, like, I want to say maybe back to the Attitude Era, or maybe a little after that, he said he didn't like Christian's face. So he wanted his gimmick to have a blue dot edited in on TV over his face as, like, a gimmick. Look it up. Look into it. It's funny stuff.
I'm definitely gonna have to. This is
yeah.
I mean, it's almost as an atrocious story as this pay-per-view. I mean, as a whole.
But anyway, so like, I'm glad. I've always said I like Christian Cage more than Christian. I loved his TNA stuff. So, maybe he can channel some of that singles run in AEW, but at the same time, part of me wants to see a rivalry between him and Edge one more time. Or even have him win the tag belts, put some, tag teams over, help the tag team division out, because they're failing miserably over there. So
They don't know what to do with their tag team division.
yeah.
You know that they've changed the belts. I mean, for a while, Paige and what's the other fucking guy? Oh, Omega held the belts for quite a while, but ever since then, they've kind of bounced every couple months. So they don't really know what they're doing. I don't think they have as much what's the word? Confidence in their tag team division as they do their headliners. So, but I just who could you see him teaming with in AEW?
Well, I was talking WWE. I was hoping he would team with Edge and just kind of elevate that tag division. Because
that's terrible.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get my house burned down for this. I don't want to see Edge as world champion. I really, really, really don't.
I really don't want to see that as well. But we're gonna obviously.
It's gonna happen.
A month away? Yeah, it's a month away. So you and I definitely have a lot to discuss coming up to that. And
yay.
April 10th and 11th, we're going to be doing a Super WrestleMania podcast.
Yeah, I'll be drunken live streams there. But I was glad to see him using his TNA theme, which is an instrumental of the Evanescence song "My Last Breath," I think it's called.
All right.
Which I always really loved that theme. I always thought Christian had great themes. So yeah, like the second I heard the music, I popped before everyone else because I'm like, wow, you really don't know, like, because that was his TNA theme, his singles run. Like, no one popped for it until his name came up. I was like, you fuckers, don't pop. No, you don't deserve to pop now. You don't even recognize his music.
I didn't really think that the reaction was that great. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a mixed reaction as to how the fans are treating this situation, this as a signing. I think a lot of people were disappointed. But
I mean, Tony Khan is a mark. What do you expect? He's gonna overhype this. He's overhyped stuff before.
Some people thought that he was bringing in Flair. And I'm just like, I mean, what the fuck would Flair do for the company other than, I mean, because let's be serious, he'd come in and manage people, and then, he'd come in and manage he'd help, with the Horsemen, Anderson and Tully, and was it last week on AEW Dynamite, JJ Dillon appeared. I mean, I popped for that, and Tully came out wearing the old NWA United States title, which I was just like, I really marked out for that.
Yeah.
Because we got a few, we're getting off subject here as opposed to like normal, but
Yeah, what else is new?
Cage thing, yeah, what else is new? I think Christian Cage thing, I think it could be. I think it's a really good signing. I think it was just disappointing and underwhelming because there was a lot of hype surrounding it, thinking that it was going to be somebody like a mega star, such as a Brock or a Punk or an Angle.
I think more than anything, yesterday I was like, it's just going to be Paul White messing around because he gave his hint. It's someone that can outwork anybody. I'm like, well, it's a work. Like that was his hint. He was going to have that heel turn and be like, oh, I'm the signing, and then just leave. Which that would have been some good.
What I said on the phone to my friend, I was talking about to one of my friends, I was like, Captain Insano from Waterboy. He's going to come out dressed up as his gimmick. I said, and that's going to be the hype. I said, they're just going to pull a TNA or a WWE overhype the whole entire thing. They're going to come out with some stupid gimmick.
Yeah.
and piss everybody off. And I'm glad they didn't.
I would have left. I would have just stopped watching.
I would have shut it off there. So we got 2 more matches to get through before we get through this. And I want to discuss something else I wanted to discuss a rumor at one point. We've discussed this before. Cinematic matches are complete horseshit.
I don't have enough alcohol for this one.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this nice and short and sweet. Darby Allin and Sting defeated Team Taz, right? Uh, Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, the four talents that are in this ring. Whew. I like Ricky Starks. I like Brian Cage. Sting, I loved 1989.
I like Surfer Sting.
Yeah, exactly. Darby Allin's great.
Yeah, I like him
for what he is, and it's just I hate. I think we discussed this. Did we discuss WrestleMania last year? Or maybe it was the horror show that we discussed.
I feel like once
cinematic matches. It always seemed that me and you were discussing these cinematic bullshit.
Once a video, we're trashing them. So here we are again, tradition.
So this reminded me of a match that took place in Impact not so long ago. A cinematic match between, I think it was EC3 and Moose had a cinematic match where there's a bunch of other EC3s surrounding the ring wearing hoodies. And they were banging on in a warehouse, banging on the ring. And this was a bunch of people in hoodies wearing Sting masks surrounding the ring. I was just like, this is very reminiscent. The whole entire thing just reminded me of it. And I was like, it ended up being complete horseshit. I absolutely hated this segment. And I feel bad. Sting is just there to try to help get Darby Allin over right now at this point. And so I feel bad.
He didn't need that, though. He was already getting over.
Well, the guy, I mean, if he kept doing what he's doing, the guy's going to end up crippled in 2 years at the most, doing this crazy stuff.
That body bag bullshit, that was, even for me.
Yes. That was freaky. Like, that was just uncalled for. So, yeah, I got nothing else to say about this other than I hated this match.
I liked it better than the Boneyard match. Something else you can burn my house down for. I hated that match.
Yeah, that Boneyard match was a bunch of garbage.
Everyone loved it. I just don't. I got into an argument yesterday about it. But, yeah, this was obviously pre-taped. And I know somebody tweeted out, I don't know if it was Alvarez or somebody, tweeted out that it was pre-taped before the show and it was, quotations, a massive success. And I was like, all right, well, maybe. Well, it wasn't.
This is where I get the disconnect between myself and wrestling fans of a certain age, I guess I should say. That some people are absolutely in love with this style of match. I'm not one of them. Like, I just think that a certain age group just, for the majority, it's just, me myself, I just cannot get into it, and they bore me to death. It just doesn't seem. I like my professional wrestling treated like a sport, presented like a sport, and that's not what I'm getting here.
I mean, I think at one point, I could be wrong, but I think they were using a stunt double for Sting for a few spots.
Very possible.
Like, there was some cinematography that, I mean, you're into film enough. You can block out with angles using cinematography tactics. I saw some in this match. There was one point where Sting was in the turnbuckle, and I'm just like, that is way too muscular to be Sting. And they had his face perfectly blocked out. So yeah, I think there was some stunt double usage. I could be wrong, but yeah, this was just really stupid. They're throwing bats around through the windows, and I love how he chucked his bat at him and then missed. And then someone I was watching it with, they're like, all right, just give him your weapon. That works. But then he didn't even pick up the weapon. So it's just like, there was just no logic. This was all flashy.
It's just like, it's sure as hell, if you were in a fight and that happened, I'd be picking up that shit and using it on you.
Yeah. It's like somebody throwing a gun in front of you during a fight. No, I'm just going to leave it there. Fuck it.
Yeah. I'm picking it up and shooting your ass. Yeah.
Yeah, this was just...
It
I'm
was
done.
horseshit,
I'm done.
to be honest with you.
Let's go from one horse shit to another.
One horse shit to another. We all know that already. That not only am I not into cinematic matches, I absolutely fucking hate deathmatch wrestling. People are crazy that are into this stuff. Like, I don't know why you would want to put yourself into this situation as a wrestler. You know, one of the guys that one of the earliest pioneers of deathmatch wrestling, Onita, was trained in the All Japan Dojo and was a legit professional wrestler before he got into this kind of stuff. But I don't understand how he decided, like, I'm gonna be a fucking deathmatch superstar kind of a thing. And, like, it just doesn't work for me. These weapons, the gore. Don't mind you. I love good bloody matches.
Yeah.
Like, they seem they add a lot of drama and they add something special. But it's kind of come natural, not with I'm going to attack you with fucking barbed wire or a baseball bat. One of the things that I cannot stand about this is one spot where they took a fucking baseball bat and cracked him over the skull with it. I'm just like, if that was legit, you cave in this fucking skull. If
and exploded too.
You'll get what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. It's bullshit. This was not professional wrestling to me. I mean, I like the fact that there was a lot of blood involved and there was, and it's like, oh, do the clothesline with my arm wrapped in barbed wire. I mean, what happens when you make that impact? The fucking thing is just going to jab you further. Like, it's just, to me, it was just ridiculous. I'm not a deathmatch person. I like you. We've discussed this before. Traditional style professional wrestling, all this hardcore and garbage. It's just there was a time and place when ECW was new, when it was kind of like innovative. Excuse me. Before it just turned into too much over the top bullshit, and then it became too regular. Save that shit for once in a while. There's always seems to be on every AEW show something that happens over the top. It's just too common. You know what I mean? It's like when, every October, there just so happens to be, you guys have been feuding for a year. We're doing Hell in the Cell. You get what I'm saying? It's got to be something special. It's too over the top for me.
Well, I think they're doing it because they know that fans have been missing it from WWE for a while, so they're just trying to capitalize on that.
I get that.
Which
I absolutely get that.
It's a good reason I pop whenever I see a blade job. But
they're trying to break into the market for. They're trying to attract that deathmatch audience, and I get it. And that shit was so watered down. Look at we were discussing, like CZW. Like, you can't bring stuff like CZW to the mainstream and water it down. Those fans are gonna shit all over it. And that's what I think. I mean, Moxley was a CZW wrestler at one point as well. Like, those fans are just gonna shit all over that product, the watered down version of it.
All right, I have an argument for deathmatch wrestling.
Bring it on.
The way I look at it as a guilty pleasure for me. I know it's shit. It's like a bad movie that's funny. It's so bad it's good. That's the way I look at deathmatch wrestling. I love Japanese death matches, light tube matches. I love just seeing people getting shredded and bloodied and just tearing each other apart. But I don't call that wrestling. That's the difference between me and other deathmatch wrestling fans. To me, that's not really wrestling. That's something else. That's why I'm okay with my love for deathmatch wrestling, because I don't put it in the same category as professional wrestling.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't like modern deathmatch wrestling, because I believe if you're gonna go deathmatch, you got to go all the way. You can't water it down, and look, I did geek out a little bit seeing Jon Moxley just getting torn up again, because that's what he loves. That's what he loved. That's what he wanted to do. It hurts seeing Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose is, come on, it's not Jon Moxley.
Hey, Dean Ambrose, I'm going to tell you something. I said that guy was the future of WWE probably 7 or 8 years ago. Mind you, he made it to the top just in the wrong company. Because I thought back then when he was in the Shield, I thought that guy was killing it. When they first broke him up and he was having that first singles run there, I thought he was doing good. It's just they kept watering him down and more and more and more, and he absolutely fucking hated it.
Yeah.
So
And
I just think that him going to the putting all his eggs in one basket and jumping to the company and putting so much faith in them, that's good. That's good for business. That's good for him. And he's like, this is a company that I believe in, so I'm going to join this company and go work there, and they're going to let me do what I want. So far, he's killing it. There's a lot of people predicting that at some point he's going to jump back over. I don't really see that happen. I really don't see that happening. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Not anytime soon, unless AEW fails. But that guy can always go and continue his tours in New Japan.
He will one day go in the Hall of Fame with the Shield. I think that's.
I believe so. He might even have a singles run in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's very possible. So he was a former world champion there, so anything is possible.
I've always said I'm sick of people asking me, will CM Punk ever return to WWE? I'm like, yes, he will be in the Hall of Fame. That is it. He will show up for a Hall of Fame speech.
He was on backstage. So he did return, even though it was a Fox TV show.
Well, yeah, it was a Fox deal. He didn't sign shit for WWE.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, I consider deathmatch wrestling to be a guilty pleasure, but I don't consider it professional wrestling. To me, it's something else. I just don't consider it wrestling. That's why I do enjoy it. And I don't enjoy when it's mixed in with a professional wrestling pay-per-view. That's my problem with this.
Right.
I want to see, like, CZW, it's all just violence. I don't like to see that mixed in unless it is truly once in a while necessary.
Even CZW at this point does a lot of straight up wrestling shows, but they'll have those special stipulation matches on the shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not just every match on the show is not something, but I mean, they've changed quite a bit. From their
I haven't seen them in a while, so yeah.
I actually bought one of their pay-per-views last year during the pandemic just because there was no wrestling. You know what I mean? There was no independent wrestling. They did an empty arena. Matt Stryker was the commentator there for that show, which I thought was so awkward. It was on Fight. I don't know. That guy, that's a guy that's like pops up everywhere.
When I think of hardcore wrestling, I don't really think of him.
I think of Matt Stryker. Before we get into it, I just, I don't know. Big Japan's still around. I keep reading that they're doing a lot of stuff. I don't even know what the hell they're up to. Are they still a deathmatch company? I mean, because I've seen some fucking crazy shit between them and IWA Japan. So, anyways, we're getting away from the whole entire part of this. The fun part, the best part of this fucking pay-per-view. The fucking sparklers. Gilbert's Pyro was saved the day at the end.
Oh my god.
Eddie Kingston sold it like a champion.
I'll tell you
true champion that he is. So
it's embarrassing that he sold that.
Well, but you gotta say it. You gotta say it. Eddie, he went out there and did what he was supposed to do. He's just that guy. He's a company guy. He's a guy that just loves the business. So he's, and I bet you anything, once those sparklers went off and he's just laying there, he's just like, well, what the fuck do we do now? And so I guess Tony Khan is looking to change this whole entire thing into Kenny Omega built a dead bomb. So now they're going to take it and run with it rather than he killed Moxley with the bomb. It's going to be he couldn't take him out, and they're going to laugh at it basically, I think. So we'll see where this unfolds going forward.
All right, so this happened before with Terry Funk, where I don't know if it was with Cactus Jack or he was in an explosive barbed wire match before, and the explosion was just a dud, and you can literally just see him go, "What the fuck?" and then he just falls over and sells it. Like, so this isn't the first time we had a dud of a explosion. But
it happened in ECW twice, I guess. I was listening to Observer Radio, and it happened between Bad Company and Public Enemy, where it was like the first one they ever tried to do. And I guess Todd Gordon went over the fucking loudspeaker and made a bomb, making an explosion sound into the microphone to try to sell it. And yeah,
might as well
I gotta
fart into it. Jeez.
I gotta look this up. So
yeah, but yeah, like this, it's fine if the explosion's not going to be good, but don't give it a camera angle where you're literally staring at Kingston in the ring, and so you could see in between the smoke. At least have an angle where it looks dangerous. That would have been easy.
One of the things I hated was the triple teaming of John Moxley. Like those guys, like the Good Brothers come out, and I'm like, you're not putting Kenny Omega over, but so basically the whole main event was fucking overbooked. You know, you're not putting Omega or helping Omega get over by having the Good Brothers come out and assist him and beat the shit out of him. You know, I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
There was a lot of outside interference in this pay-per-view.
Yes,
that's a big pet peeve. I hate outside interference. I get if you got to do it once. You got to do it once a pay-per-view.
You got to do it in wrestling because it helps create heat, helps create storyline. At the same time, it shouldn't be happening for 3 straight fucking hours. That's some Vince Russo bullshit right there.
Yeah. Like I said, do it once, you're good.
Yeah.
It just pisses me off and takes me out of it. If you do it, I don't even know how many times we got this. Like, this was... when I saw the Good Brothers come out, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm over this.
Yeah. Oh, I was over it in the third fucking match by the time the woman started. Yeah. I was over it. So it's like they've had this thing for building up pay-per-views. Some of them are really great. Some of them are... a couple. Actually, you know, I can only think of 2 that were absolute pure shit, and this is definitely one of them right here. This is probably the second worst show that they've done.
They don't do average pay-per-views. It's either really bad or really good. Because the last one they had, Full Gear, I thought was great. I was on this show, putting that show over. I loved it.
Yeah.
That was the last one in November, I think it was, that we did.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I loved it.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I remember there was one that was really great, and I just remember that it was one that was just a huge shit show. And even the ones that were trying to put over ended up sucking so hard. Like the matches that you were looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, there's overall, I'd have to say it's a C, and I'm being kind of generous on this because once that third match started, I just think it didn't deliver. I was just and as a match, you know, the main event they were trying to straight up wrestle, and obviously there was the barbed wire. So did you notice that only 3 of the ropes, 3 sides of the ring were wrapped in barbed wire?
Well, here's my problem.
One of them was open.
Why were the ropes in the ring? You're not supposed to have ropes in a barbed wire.
They were building it as a barbed wire explosion death match. Now, you're right. Like, they should have taken... I was under the impression that it was going to be like in FMW where they were taking the ropes down and just wrapping the ring. Maybe they were having technical difficulties, so they decided to rope. I mean, if you remember back in the day, back in the Crockett days, you know, Dusty with the feud he wrestled in the bunkhouse match where they would wrap the ropes in barbed wire. Like, maybe that's what they were going for. They just decided to do their own version of whatever.